We've talked about 5 things you should never do to your pocket knife, or you should try to do your pocket knife to make it last forever. You want to be able to hand that thing down as an heirloom to your kids, your grandkids. I'll link that video up for you at the end of this one. But let's just talk about 5 things you should do in general to your everyday carry prep, any of your gear. Let's talk about things to make those things last for a very long time. I've done a lot of videos that talks about what you should carry, what you should keep in your vehicle, but preventative stuff or things to make it last for a long time, we need to do more of that. Number one is clean your gear regularly. I think that's self-explanatory, but you would not believe how many times that I have pocket checked nurses. I've asked people what they got going on in the rear of their back seat when it comes to gear. I've seen some prep gear. I've seen people do stuff with their guns and stuff, and just stuff is not clean. I'm just like, yeah, it's a pretty cool AR you got here, but when's the last time you cleaned it out? Would hate for it to misfire on you. Oh man, I'm loving this med pack that you put together, but it seems like you've opened up a lot of band-aids and you keep just stuffing the trash back in the med kit. How do you know what's missing? How do you know if it's cleaned out and able to navigate and see what you need? Those are kind of like micro things that we don't clean out very often. By we, I mean me. I should do it more often. I'm fixing ouchie boo-boos. I'm putting Neosporin on stuff. I'm doing all that stuff. Cleaning that stuff out makes a lot of sense, but other EDC items need to be cleaned out as well. Your flashlights, your multi-tool, your pins, all those O-rings, the gunk that goes around the seals of those, they can get dusty, they can get dirty. Wiping them down is important. Microfiber cloths are your knife's best friend. Also, invest in some compressed air. Actually, this is 2025. Someone will get their panties in a bunch over compressed air. I guess one of those air blowers. Okay, maybe one of those might help out a bit as well for cleaning out threads, especially if it has like a brush attachment on the end. That can help out with cleaning those type of stuff. Any nooks and crannies when it comes to stuff that you don't touch often. Keeping it clean will deter rodents, insects, and just a collection of dirt, spiders, whatever inside of your gear. The other day I was going through one of my get home bags. It was sitting on top of my workbench. Everything closed, everything sealed, and there was a couple of ants. They were scout ants. But I'm like, why are there ants going towards my get home bag? The only thing in there that's edible, literally, it was a couple Cliff Bars. Cliff Bars are completely sealed up, but still, I don't need any reason for them to be all up in my business. So number one, clean your gear regularly. You won't regret it. Number two, you should store and check your gear properly and regularly. Cleaning it, yes. Storing it and checking it is incredibly important. The way you store your gear matters. And when I say store, I'm not just talking about for long-term use. Even if you're daily using some of your stuff, the way that you store that stuff daily matters. So I'm here in Texas, things that I keep in my truck, things that I keep in this man cave. Sometimes I have to caress and ensure that I'm storing those things properly, even if it's 24 hours before I touch it again. Some of my gear that needs to be completely, for instance, some of my watches need to be in watch winders that help them keep their reserve time. Some of my other stuff that I want to keep, some of my cleaning gear, keeping that stuff stored properly, because if it gets too high of a temperature or too low of a temperature, it can harden or it can burst or whatever. This includes your batteries, and storing your stuff is incredibly important, but checking it as well. So when the seasons change, I up the amount of checking I do for pieces of my gear. For instance, trickle charging my batteries. I do that because I'm checking my gear quite often, especially in the wintertime. In the summer, I'm taking stuff out the bed of my truck, out of the cab of my truck, because I want to store it properly. But now it's the time of the year when I can no longer do that and I have to rotate it out. There's so many folks who don't store their stuff properly, and it can be ruined or it can grow fingers. If you don't store your stuff properly, you won't know when something is out of place. I can tell you immediately. One of my watches is missing. One of my knives are missing. Like if I have an article of clothing that's not correctly placed, I know immediately because my stuff is hung up. My underoos go where they're supposed to be. My socks are where they're supposed to be. It's very easy to ensure that Everything has its place. I'm a big fan of that. Okay, so preventative maintenance is number 3. Very, very, very similar to cleaning your gear, but it goes a step further than that. We're talking about checking the threading on your clothing and on your bags and on your pouches. We're talking about making sure that you don't have dull knife edges. Even if you're not actively carrying that knife very often, you want to ensure that the edge is not dull, because a dull knife is not a safe knife. So a sharp knife is a safe knife. Even cleaning the edges of your knife. I have a knife here that needs to be cleaned off. I use it for a lot of gunk removal here at the man cave desk. I would ensure is cleaned up, making sure it's ready to go. Trickle charging my batteries, like I mentioned earlier. This can ensure that my LiPo 4 batteries, even my acid-based batteries, everything is where it's supposed to be. As the temperatures change, I don't want to neglect anything. I'm talking about everything from my battery jump starters to my air compressors to my vehicle itself, even my kids' little four-wheelers that they ride around. Making sure all that stuff is properly charged and ready to go is important as well. Lubrication. Listen, treat your gear like it's a lady. Lubricant is sometimes best. I'm just saying that for us personally, if we are ensuring that we have things lubricated, especially our multi-tools, that you may not open every tool every time, the T-shank adapter, the pliers, any of those tool implements, making sure they're lubricated is important. Not too much oil, because it can ruin the way that your items work, but the proper dampening, just preventative maintenance will go a long way. If you don't check the threading or check the strap on your bag and you get 2 miles into a ruck and it snaps, that would suck. I was on my one wheel a few weeks ago and I didn't do my maintenance like I should, and I got 4 miles away from my house. I crossed a creek where I had to walk through the creek, and I picked up my one wheel, I put it down, and it would not charge, or the battery wouldn't engage with the motherboard correctly. I hadn't gone in there and ensured that there was no loose wires. Now, thank goodness, I keep kits on me with multi-tools. I was able to literally take my one wheel apart on the trail and fix it. But I would have known about that if I would have checked the wires in my one wheel, my scooters, my electric bikes, get home bags, bug out bags. Preventative maintenance goes a long way, because it's going to ensure that your stuff is ready to rock and roll. Number 5, this is a way to make your EDC gear, prep, any of your gear last for damn near forever. Use it properly, okay? Let's try not to use a knife as a pry bar, a knife to unscrew something. I mentioned this during my knife video. Let's use the specific tools in a multi-tool for their intended purposes as closely as we can. We're using tools for their design purpose. I'm sure a lot of us have used shovels as hammers and hammers as shovels, but if we can prevent doing that, they're going to last much, much longer. Now, there's going to be times you're in a survival situation. You're in a pinch. You just have to do what you have to do. I get that. Okay, I understand that. But if you can use stuff as intended, so you're using pins as pins, you're not using a tactical pin to hammer some nails, then it's going to last much, much longer. What's some stupid stuff that you done with your gear that you ruined it and you just know for a fact that you had to get something else? I was using a full tang knife to split logs. You can do that with full tang knives, but you probably can't do it with logs that are thick AF. And I was doing it with a log that was entirely too thick that I probably should have took a hatchet or maul or an axe to, but I wanted to do it with a log and a full tang knife. And guess what? Yeah, it didn't go so well. Okay, so using stuff for intended purposes will make life that much easier. 5 ways to make your EDC gear, your prep gear, last for freaking ever. You should thank me down below with a super thanks. But you don't have to do that. Hit the subscribe button, especially if this is your first time. I'd love to have you part of the battalion. Like this video if you got good content out of this bad boy, because that helps me make more content for you guys in the future. And I guess I should go do some maintenance myself and make sure some of my gear is good to go. If this is your first time stopping by, well, thank you. Hit the subscribe button as mentioned, because I would love to have you here. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.